State Golf Podcast. I am Sean Melia, your host, and today we will be talking about my trip to Big Cedar Lodge in Branson, Ridgefield, southern Missouri. I have a bunch of stuff that I'm going to put together about this trip. Today's episode is specifically 5 things to know before you go, or if you're thinking about going. I wanted to put this together, especially I got home yesterday from this trip, so this is very much front of mind, kind of the big picture stuff. I will do some golf course stuff too, and some other videos and writing, maybe some Instagram stuff. But for today, we're talking about 5 things. We're going to jump right into it and give you just a sense of what my itinerary was. Not super detailed, but just to give some context to my trip and what we did and what our plan was. So I was there for 4 days. I ended up spending 1 extra day in Springfield, Missouri, because my flight got canceled, which is a different story I won't bore you with. We played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We were meant to fly back on Monday. This trip was also something that was planned a little differently than it came out. And what I mean by that is it was a birthday present from my wonderful wife. I turned 40 last September, so she gave me this and gave me, 8 months to plan it and figure things out. The initial plan was to actually go with my wife and a friend of hers and her husband, who is also a golfer who I'm friends with. However, they, in December, got pregnant, just had their second kid. And so traveling right when the due date was around was not in the cards. So when we found that news out, I asked some friends if they wanted to join me instead. And that's what I did. So I had 3 buddies who joined me. My wife stayed behind, and we will certainly go back, which might give you a sense of what I thought of the place right off the bat. So it was a little bit of a scouting mission too, to see if it would be worth going back with her and maybe retrying that trip with our friends. So that's some of the context about the trip. It is a pretty great place. So 5 things you should know. The very first thing you should know about Big Cedar Lodge is it is a massive, massive place. I believe our shuttle driver at one point said it's 42,000 square acres or 42,000 acres of land, of property. It's owned by Johnny Morris, I believe his name is, who is the owner of Bass Pro Shops. So he's slowly kind of built this empire down in his hometown where he grew up near Branson. So it is a huge, huge place, which is great and also can cause some complications for things. There are 5 golf courses at Big Cedar Lodge. 4 of them are in one specific location that you can get to and kind of play any of the 4, or really 3 of them are very close together. There's one that's just down the road, and then there's another one that's a bit of a drive. So you've got your golf courses somewhat spread out. I don't necessarily think that's different from a lot of other resorts. Pinehurst, you've got to get in a shuttle to go to some of the off-property stuff. It's my only other golf experience. I believe Streamsong, you're pretty close together. Bandon, there might be some driving. You've got 5 18-hole golf courses. This is 3 18-hole golf courses, a 13-hole walking course, and then a 9-hole course. And the 9-hole course, which is called Top of the Rock, is the one that is about a 15-minute, 20-minute drive from everything else at Top of the Rock, which is this kind of stunning spot where there's a 9-hole course. They have Arnold Palmer's barn from Latrobe that they actually moved from Latrobe all the way to Missouri and rebuilt by hand. They got restaurants and bars and all sorts of stuff up at Top of the Rock. And so it's a massive, massive place. So shuttles are going to be necessary. Where we stayed was not near any of the golf courses. So you can stay in cottages near the golf course. They are bigger. You'd probably need, I believe you need like probably 8 to 12 people to stay in one of them. They are pretty big if you want to be in very close proximity, like hop in a golf cart and go up and play Payne's Valley or Ozarks National or Mountaintop. Pretty easily accessible there. We stayed closer to registration, closer to kind of the main Big Cedar Lodge area where there's water sports, and a place called Fun Mountain, which is, an amusement kind of area with arcades and games and that kind of stuff. They're opening a huge music venue. I think next week. Garth Brooks played there last year before it really fully opened. So they have a lot going on. So it's a huge place. So you have to keep that in mind if you want to go here. It is, it's huge. So we had to take some shuttles to get places, and that requires a little bit of planning. We kind of came close to missing a tee time at 6:40 in the morning because the shuttle we had booked the night before didn't show up. They were nice enough to scramble a shuttle and get us there with about 20 minutes to spare, and we were able to tee off on time. But that's definitely one huge piece of this is if you go, know that it's massive. Know that you can go and not play any golf. People go and probably have no idea that there is golf at Big Cedar Lodge because of all the other things that are going on. Bass Pro Shops, you can imagine, outdoor stuff, fishing, some crazy kind of cavern tours, just kind of a really like an outdoor Disney World almost. The cottages did look awesome. If you want to just go and be golfers for a weekend, you could certainly do that. I think you just need to get more people than the group we had. We had 4 on our trip. That leads to my second point, which I've kind of touched on a little bit. Golf is secondary at Big Cedar Lodge. And that's not a diss on Big Cedar Lodge. That's just how we kind of felt throughout the week. I've been to Pinehurst. You go to Pinehurst, everywhere you go, you see golfers. Everywhere you go, you see guys holding a couple wedges. You get on a shuttle and there's folks going to the cradle, or they have a putter in their hand because they're just going to go up and have some beers and play Thistle Dew. They have their full bag with them and they're going to play number 2. So everything is centered on golf. It's the cradle of golf. I would imagine Streamsong and Bandon and Cabot, Sand Valley all have that same feel. Big Cedar Lodge does not. We didn't see any golfers as we kind of went around our cabin, as we walked up and got breakfast in the morning. We were not surrounded by golfers. That can be something that you are looking for. That can be something where you can convince your family to go up on this trip with you, and you can go and play 18 holes of golf. Your family is busy at the pools or doing whatever else they want to do because the options are pretty much endless. And then you can come back and join them and not feel like you're kind of leaving your family in the lurch or leaving them back at home while you go on a golf trip. So you can certainly blend in golf with other stuff, but it is absolutely not a golf-centric, golf-focused. Everyone knows you're a golfer. They're interested in your golf. The only real time we interacted with golfers was when we were at the golf courses, or sometimes we'd hop in a shuttle with other golfers who might have been going to some other locations where they were staying. But that's kind of one thing you want to know and you want to keep in mind. Big Cedar is golf is second, even maybe third on the pecking order of what they care about and what they're doing. When you get up there, it is outstanding. The golf is great, but it is certainly not the center. So that's number 2. Number 3, a little bit more focused on the golf here. You are riding a golf cart the whole time. There are 4 caddies if you want to get a 4 caddy, but Ozarks National, Buffalo Ridge, Payne's Valley, and the 9-hole course, Top of the Rock, they are expansive as far as how far out greens are to tees. You're doing some long rides, a lot of climbs, even just getting from where you get dropped off at the shuttle or the parking lot to get up to Ozarks or to Mountaintop, which is where Payne's Valley and the Mountaintop course are. You have to ride a cart. Mountaintop is the 5th course. Mountaintop is a 13-hole walking golf course. It is very cool. It was the first place we played. It was my introduction to the whole place with my friend Elliot. Dan and Roberto joined us the next day, so they didn't get to play it. It's great. And I'll get into that at some other point. But you're riding golf carts the whole time you are there. And if that's okay with you, that's great. I was kind of grateful to be riding. We played a lot of golf, and they're not walkable golf courses. If they were walkable and we were riding, I don't love that, just being put on a cart to kind of move you around. But you could certainly, you couldn't walk. You could maybe walk Ozarks National, maybe the most walkable of all of them. It's still pretty big, but that's probably the one. Payne's Valley, you're making long drives, and same with Buffalo Ridge. You're making a lot of long drives on Buffalo Ridge, and Top of the Rock is insanely spread out for a 9-hole golf course. We were driving, 2-3 minutes from a green to a tee box. So if that matters, we were in a shuttle with a guy we met who's from Houston, and that was kind of one of the things as he was talking about some other places he's been. You go to Bandon, you are walking the whole time. You can get a caddy if you want. Big Cedar Lodge, you are riding a golf cart unless you play the 13-hole mountaintop walking course, which was really fun, a really great way for us to start our trip. Okay, so that's number 3. So just quickly before I make just a kind of quick plug, number 1 thing to know, it is a massive property. Number 2, kind of piggybacking on how big it is, golf is not the primary driver of Big Cedar Lodge. Number 3, you're riding a golf cart unless you play the 13-hole mountaintop golf course. Ozarks, Paynes Valley, Buffalo Ridge, Top of the Rock, you are always riding a golf cart. If you want all my writing, all my videos, all my podcasts, Instagram, and just my favorites from every week outside of the world of golf, you should subscribe to my newsletter at baystategolf.beehiiv.com. That's BEEHIIV.com. You can go there. You can subscribe. I have a Premier subscription as well, which gets you an extra post, maybe 2 during the week. You can comment on my posts if you are a Premier subscriber. You also will get 1 video per quarter. So just a few videos over the course of the year that are only for subscribers, and also some opportunities to play golf with me because I will send out open tee times. Sometimes I like to make a tee time for 4 when I have no one to play with, and those people will get first dibs on if they would like to join me for a round on my quest. So that's my 1 plug for today. Subscribe to this wherever you are. And if you want to get everything in one place, I would love if you subscribe to the newsletter. If you want to support my quest, help me pay for gas and tee times, the Premier subscription is one really good way. Another way is you could go to my store online. You could get a shirt like this. I've got some hats. This is not one of them. This is actually from Ozarks National, the hat I have on here if you're watching on YouTube. Just another way to support me as I chase down this ridiculous goal of trying to play every golf course in Massachusetts. I have 121 played as of right now, which leaves me with 230 left to play because 350 golf courses exist in Massachusetts. Let's get to number 4 on my things to know about Big Cedar Lodge. The comfort stations on the golf courses are really cool, really well done. It was, a kind of a standout part of the trip. The 3 18-hole golf courses have little comfort stations, little houses. It was hot as hell when we were there. It was, touching real feel in the mid 90s, which was another reason grateful to have carts to ride, just to get away from the heat a little bit and escape the sun, as my New England skin and Irish skin has not seen sun that strength for quite a while. So the comfort stations was another nice respite. When you go into the comfort stations, everything you can eat is free. So they have, your kind of typical golf course snacks. They've got peanut butter crackers, chips, candy bars, like all of the things that you would see at a halfway house. And you can just grab what you want and you are good to go. Most of the courses, except for Buffalo Ridge, so Ozarks and Paynes Valley, you hit that comfort station. It was kind of in a spot where you might hit it 2 or even 3 times during the course of the round. Water everywhere was free. Water bottles, at at a bunch of different spots in coolers filled with ice. There was coolers on the golf cart, so you could just kind of throw a little bit of ice from the cooler into your cooler. Water's in there, of course. If you want to drink and you want to have beer or Powerade or soda or whatever your fancy is while you're out there, you have to pay for those. I can't really compare prices to other. I know Bandon, people kind of rave about the affordability of once you're on the property, they don't gouge you. They were doing like a buy 5 beers, get the 6th one for free, which came out to, I think, $35 if you wanted to do that with a group of 4. I don't really drink a ton when I play golf, so it really wasn't bothered to me. I would just get some water, get a Powerade, eat some crackers, and have some beers after the round in the clubhouse. But just super great. There is a free bison dog at every conversation. If you want to go to Ozarks National and eat 3 bison dogs each time you come to the comfort station, they are not going to stop you. And they also have a drawer with Snickers bars, the frozen, like the ice cream ones, another really nice touch. So those were awesome. The Payne's Valley comfort station also had some logoed stuff that was exclusive to just that comfort station. And you could, I think the logo was that kind of Payne Stewart punching the air after making his putt at Pinehurst number 2 in 1999, which mimics the statue at Pinehurst number 2. So they had a bunch of merch there as well in that comfort station that you could purchase. That was probably the most kind of built out of the comfort stations, but awesome spot at each of the courses just to get some cool air, get some water, get some beers, get some drinks, get free snacks, and then go back out on your way. I thought that was just a really nice little touch that they did there. You're paying a bunch of money for golf. I've paid a bunch of money for golf other places and then have to pay more for stuff at the turn or stuff during the round. So really well done there by Big Cedar. Bison dogs were delicious. Had 1 each round that I could. So that gives me 4. Enjoyed all of them. Really good, really quick. And just a really nice, solid touch. So that's number 4, just comfort stations, the kind of hospitality side of that. The staff is super nice and giving out free food while you're playing golf. I don't think I'd seen that really anywhere outside of member guests and events like that where you've paid to be there and they give you some free stuff. Finally, if you can, this is a little bit more in the weeds, but it also has to do with maybe a bigger topic here. And this came from my buddies who, when I kind of tapped them for some ideas on what takeaways they had. If possible, Mountaintop should be your opener. The 13-hole walking course, open with it. It's got cool greens. You can play, I think the longest hole is 220 yards, but it's built in this way where you can just throw a ball down at a different spot each hole and just play it from wherever you really want. They've got 2 tee boxes, one short, one long, but a ton of space and like flat areas and shaved grass basically everywhere. Views are stunning all over this property. Just incredible in the Ozarks. You're looking out over, cliffs and plateaus and valleys and just a really lovely setting. And Mountaintop just kind of puts you in a place very quickly if you can play there. Also, we played behind a sixum. It was just me and my friend Elliot. So we didn't keep score. We didn't play a match. We were like, we got off the plane 3 hours ago. Let's go and goof around, hit some chip shots. Never get a chance to practice our short game. So really, really great. A phenomenal way, if you can, to open your round of golf. On the flip side, the best way to bookend it, which we also got to do, was Payne's Valley. Payne's Valley was a cool experience. It's a huge golf course. It's just, wide open. After playing, nearly 100 holes, finishing at Payne's Valley was nice because you could spray it a little bit. You could hit it kind of wonky and you're going to be in play. The greens are huge. Putting can be hard because the greens are huge and they've got some pretty good movement to them. Huge bunker. I mean, it's just an expansive, massive place. It kind of matches the vibe of the entire property. Then you get to the 19th hole, which is corny as hell. I'll freely admit. And I had that sense going into it, but it was the best way to finish the trip. I couldn't imagine playing that hole, kind of going through that experience, and then either going and playing like another round later that day or waking up the next day. It was just a really nice capstone to the trip. And I'm not sure why that felt that way, but it felt a little bit more special. You drive through like this kind of ridiculous side of a hill that's got rocks, and you get to this point, you get welcomed by a person at the 19th hole, which is an island green. It's just an extra hole at Payne's Valley. And they take your picture. They've got a bar set up so you can order a drink. Then you go back. They tell you, take 2 golf balls, hit 2 shots if you want. If you hit one in the water, absolutely hit a second one. If you want to stack at another one, even if you hit it on the green, go for it. And so we each hit our shot. Some of us hit a second one. My buddy Elliot, who birdied 18, also stuffed it on 19, made the putt for birdie. So he finished birdie on the trip, which was sick. It was such a cool way to finish a trip. Now, it's corny, and if you're cynical, like a lot of the times I can be with some of this stuff, you might think, well, it's dumb. But being there with my 3 buddies, celebrating my 40th birthday, which at this point was almost 8 months ago, but them kind of making a trip and making time from their family and their friends to and work to hang out with me and play golf in Missouri. It was just a really nice way to finish the trip with the 3 of them. So if you can, make Payne's Valley your last one. And that goes to, I did not plan it that way. I was kind of hamstrung as far as how I wanted to plan the trip because I called for tee times 3 months in advance, which was not enough time. I dragged my feet calling to make tee times, which is what you have to do. As a millennial, I don't love doing it. I always get off the phone, and I'm happy I did it afterwards, calling even a pro shop in Massachusetts to make a tee time, talking to someone, versus making another password on another tee time system can be tiresome. So, I dragged my feet on that side of things. And when I called, we were pretty tied up. Our plan initially was that we would, play a little bit more golf on Saturday and less golf on Sunday, and be able to kind of maybe even leave Sunday night. And we hadn't booked flights yet. My friends had said yes, but they hadn't booked flights yet. We just kind of blocked off. Most of them, my other 2 friends, Anna and Roberto, have kids. Being away for 4 nights was not in the cards for them. So they were going to come Thursday to Sunday. And when I got the tee times, they shifted it to Friday to Monday. Roberto and I didn't get home till Tuesday because of flight stuff. So if you plan this trip like 3 months, you're going to be at least you might be at the mercy of the tee time gods. We played Thursday night, Elliot and I. Then Elliot and I played Friday morning. I managed to find just a twosome at Ozarks National. We ended up not being paired with anybody, so they either didn't show up or whatever. But we played together, and then Roberto and Dan got in the kind of early afternoon. We drove and played Top of the Rock that evening, which is kind of another okay way to start. It's a funky par 3 course. Incredible views on some of the holes that you still get from the Top of the Rock. But when you have a golf club in your hand, sometimes those views just are a little bit sweeter and look great. So, and we played like right at sunset. It was kind of a nice way for them to settle in as well. But Top of the Rock is away from the other golf properties and the other golf courses. So, and then we didn't have another tee time till Saturday afternoon at 1:30. Having Saturday morning, in hindsight, was probably a nice thing to have free. We just kind of hung out. We got breakfast. We got down to Ozarks National a little early. They have a driving range, so we were able to hit balls, and that was kind of a nice way to settle in. I think it would have been nice to be able to either play like Mountaintop Saturday morning before going and playing Ozarks. And then we played 36 holes on Sunday morning. We teed off at 6:40. We played Buffalo Ridge, and then we played Payne's Valley at 12:30. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. And if you can also with kind of that side of getting tee times, if you can finish your round kind of close to sunset, whatever course you're at, you're going to get an incredible sunset. Top of the Rock has like a sunset ceremony at the end of every day where they have, at least when we were there, they had a bagpipe player, and they have these Civil War cannons that they fire off right at sundown. People kind of gather out on the balcony veranda and listen to the bagpipes and watch the sun go down for 2 or 3 minutes. We were in the middle of dinner, and I got up and kind of watched and took some videos and photos. So if you can call early enough ahead, play Mountaintop first, play Paynes Valley last, try to get a round or two that might finish at sunset, or at the very least, just make a point to be outside at a high point during sunset. Mountaintop, which is the clubhouse for Paynes Valley and for Mountaintop, has a spectacular view. Top of the Rock, which is 20 minutes down the road. Again, this place is massive. Also has incredible views and just a really lovely place to be at sundown when it's nice out. Just was really pleasant. So those are my 5 things that I think you could take with you. I know I went about 30 minutes, but this is one of those places that I don't think comes up when buddies are planning trips. It's in the middle of the country. Sand Valley is probably the only one that's really in the middle of the country. If you think about Bandon or going to Cabot or going to Stream Song or going to, I don't know if you want to go to Pebble, but most of them are kind of on the edges of on the coasts. And this is one that's in the middle of the country. We took an hour shuttle from Springfield, Missouri. So, it's like rather accessible. We flew through Chicago getting there. I flew through Atlanta coming home. But I was home by 1:00 in the afternoon on Tuesday. I got a 6 a.m. flight. I was home by 1. Like, you can kind of do it. You can travel in about half a day, and that's losing an hour because you're in the central time zone coming east. So Big Cedar, if you're looking for something that's not super golfy, if you're looking for a trip that might let you do some other things or bring your family, and then you could sneak out and play some golf and you could do some other stuff, and you're not leaving your family for a weekend or for 4 or 5 days to play a ton of golf, Big Cedar might be a really good option. And I would say, and we all kind of said at the end of our trip, we would go back. I would go back. I think the golf is good enough, and the experience was good enough, and the travel was easy enough that I would go back. I would not go back until I went to other places, though. I think there's some places that people leave. I felt this about Pinehurst. I left and I was like, I want to go back right away. I didn't quite feel that draw with Big Cedar, and I think it's partly because of the feeling like you weren't immersed in golf. And I kind of like being immersed in golf and being around a bunch of other golfers. That wasn't quite what this trip was. And that's fine. It was outstanding. I had a blast, and I would go back, but I'd like to try some other places and go to some other places before I return to Big Cedar. So that's it. Keep your eye on my newsletter. Follow me on Instagram, baystate_golf, where I write reviews on every course I've played in Massachusetts and some other courses. And I will be digging into each golf course as well. If you're curious about which one I liked most, I did a little poll at the end, and our answers between the 4 of us were pretty different. And it was a fun debate on Sunday night as we had a few beers and some whiskey on the deck outside of our cabin to wrap up the trip. Some good spirited debate about what we liked and what we didn't like about these golf courses, especially the 3 18-hole courses. So those are all, that stuff will all come as well, but wanted to get a little bit of just a stake in the ground. Big Cedar, encourage you to check it out. And until next time, thanks for listening. Thanks for following. Thank you for subscribing. Go subscribe to the newsletter, and we will see you in a week.